of killing 33 innocent people and destroying hundreds of lives.
They slept with the dead ones or had sex with dead bodies.
John Wayne Gacy, born on March 17, 1942 in Chicago, was the son of John Stanley Gacy and Marion Elaine Robison. His father, an auto repair machinist and World War I veteran, struggled with alcoholism and would often beat John and his two sisters with a razor strap for perceived misbehavior. John's father frequently belittled him, calling him stupid and comparing him unfavorably to his sisters. As a child, Gacy was a victim of sexual violence. Between the ages of 6 and 10, he was reportedly undressed and molested by a teenage daughter of one of his mother's friends. Additionally, Gacy was molested at a young age by a family friend and contractor. When he was between 10 and 12, Gacy and a friend were accused of sexually assaulting a young girl. As noted by Sullivan, Gacy was a sickly, overweight, and uncoordinated child, unable to excel in sports or form bonds with peers, as detailed in John Wayne Gacy Defending a Monster by Sam L. Amirante and Danny Broderick. He suffered alienation at school due to a congenital heart condition, which his father viewed as another failure. Gacy experienced frequent seizures and blackouts as a teenager, spending considerable time in and out of hospitals. His father accused him of faking these ailments for attention. Later, Gacy realized he was attracted to men, a revelation that caused him great turmoil, leading to a lifetime of internal conflict and eventual descent into darkness. Despite not completing high school, Gacy attended and graduated from the Northwestern Business College in Chicago, where he later worked as a salesman and manager for a shoe company. In 1964, he met and became engaged to Marlene Myers, whose father owned 3 KFC restaurants in Waterloo, Iowa. Gacy moved there to manage the restaurants, and he and Myers had 2 children together. In 1960, at age 18, Gacy became involved in politics, working as an assistant precinct captain for a local Democratic Party candidate. This led to more criticism from his father, who called him a patsy. The same year, Gacy's father bought him a car, keeping the title in his own name until Gacy had paid for it, which took several years. His father would confiscate the keys if Gacy did not comply. In April 1962, Gacy purchased an extra set of keys. In response, his father removed the distributor cap, keeping the component for 3 days. Hours after his father replaced the cap, Gacy left home and drove to Las Vegas, Nevada with $136 to his name, hoping to reside with a cousin. Gacy worked in the Las Vegas ambulance service before being transferred to Palm Mortuary, where he worked as a mortuary attendant for 3 months, observing morticians, embalming bodies, and occasionally serving as a pallbearer. He slept on a cot behind the embalming room and later confessed that one evening, while alone, he climbed into the coffin of a teenage male, embracing and caressing the body before experiencing a sense of shock. This experience prompted Gacy to return home. Shortly thereafter, Gacy enrolled at Northwestern Business College, despite having failed to complete high school. He graduated in 1963 and took a management trainee position with the Nunn-Bush Shoe Company. In 1964, the company transferred him to Springfield, Illinois to work as a salesman and eventually promoted him to department manager. In March of that year, he became engaged to Marlene Myers, a co-worker. During their courtship, Gacy joined the local chapter of the JCs. That same year, he had his second homosexual experience. According to Gacy, a colleague in the JCs plied him with drinks and invited him to spend the evening on his sofa. The colleague then performed oral sex on him while he was drunk. By 1965, Gacy had risen to the position of vice president of the Springfield JCs and was named the 3rd most outstanding JC in Illinois. In the 1970s, Gacy established himself as a successful building contractor and became a Democratic precinct captain in the Chicago suburbs. He speculated that his political involvement might have been a way to antagonize his father, who had mocked his interest in politics. Well respected in his community, Gacy organized cultural events and was active in political organizations and the JC's civic group. He later described this period as the happiest time of his life, even earning praise from his father, who admitted he had been wrong about Gacy. Gacy was a member of a Chicago area Jolly Joker clown club and often performed in clown attire and makeup at children's parties, charity fundraisers, and other events under the aliases Pogo the Clown or Patches the Clown. Years later, while being questioned by detectives, Gacy commented on his clown work, remarking, "Clowns can get away with murder." In August 1967, John Wayne Gacy sexually assaulted 15-year-old Donald Voorhees Jr., the son of a local politician and fellow JC member Donald Edwin Voorhees. Gacy enticed Voorhees to his home by promising to show him heterosexual stag films, a common feature at JC events. Once there, Gacy plied Voorhees with alcohol, allowed him to watch a stag movie, and then persuaded him to engage in mutual oral sex, claiming, "You have to have sex with a man before you start having sex with women." Over the following months, Gacy abused several other young individuals, including one whom he encouraged to have sex with his own wife before blackmailing him into performing oral sex. Additionally, Gacy deceived several teenagers into believing he was conducting homosexual experiments for scientific research, paying them up to $50 each for their participation. In March 1968, Voorhees Jr. confided in his father about the sexual assault. Voorhees Sr. immediately notified the police, leading to Gacy's arrest. Gacy was charged with performing oral sodomy on Voorhees and the attempted assault of a 16-year-old boy named Edward Lynch. Gacy vehemently denied the charges and insisted on taking a polygraph test. The results indicated deception, suggesting Gacy was not being truthful. Gacy publicly denied any wrongdoing and claimed the charges were politically motivated, as Voorhees Sr. had opposed his nomination for the presidency of the Iowa Jaycees. Several of Gacy's fellow Jaycees found his story credible and supported him. However, on May 10th, Gacy was indicted on the sodomy charge. On August 30th, Gacy offered one of his employees, an 18-year-old named Russell Schroeder, $300 to physically assault Voorhees in an attempt to discourage him from testifying in court. Schroeder lured Voorhees to an isolated park, sprayed mace in his eyes, and then beat him. Voorhees managed to escape and reported the assault to the police. Schroeder was arrested the next day and initially denied his involvement, but soon confessed to assaulting Voorhees at Gacy's request. Police then arrested Gacy and charged him with hiring Schroeder to assault and intimidate Voorhees. On September 12th, Gacy was ordered to undergo a psychiatric evaluation at the psychiatric hospital of the University of Iowa. Two doctors concluded that Gacy had an antisocial personality disorder, a clinical term for sociopathy and/or psychopathy. They determined that he was unlikely to benefit from treatment and that his behavior pattern would likely bring him into repeated conflict with society. Despite these findings, the doctors concluded that Gacy was mentally competent to stand trial. Gacy committed his first known murder in January 1972, luring the 16-year-old Timothy McCoy to his house under the pretense of sex. The following morning, Gacy saw McCoy standing in the bedroom doorway with a knife and in a panic rushed to attack him. During the struggle, Gacy managed to wrestle the knife away and fatally stabbed McCoy. It was only afterward that Gacy realized McCoy had not been attacking him but was holding the knife because he had just prepared breakfast for them. This incident marked a turning point for Gacy, as he discovered that he derived sexual gratification from killing, later admitting, "That's when I realized that death was the ultimate thrill." One of Gacy's subsequent victims was John Butkovich, an 18-year-old PDM employee. Gacy enticed Butkovich to his home with a promise to discuss overdue pay. Once there, Gacy plied him with alcohol and tricked him into putting on handcuffs, claiming it was part of a magic trick. He then strangled Butkovich to death. The use of handcuffs became a signature method for Gacy, who often lured his victims with the promise of a magic trick. Butkovich's parents, suspicious of Gacy, contacted the police more than 100 times, urging them to investigate him further, as detailed in The Man Who Killed Boys, the John Wayne Gacy Jr. story by Clifford L. Lindecker. By the mid-1970s, two more young men accused Gacy of rape, and he was questioned by police regarding the disappearances of others. Gacy referred to this period as his cruising years, during which he committed most of his murders. John Wayne Gacy's trial began on February 6, 1980. His defense pleaded insanity, claiming he had multiple personalities, including one called Bad Jack. Prosecutors argued he was sane and planned his crimes carefully. On March 12, 1980, Gacy was found guilty of 33 murders and sentenced to death. During 14 years in prison, he gave conflicting interviews and took up painting, often portraying himself as Pogo the Clown. Some of his paintings were later exhibited and auctioned. After his final appeal was rejected, Gacy was executed by lethal injection on May 10, 1994. His last words were reportedly, "Kiss my ass." Years later, DNA testing helped identify some of his remaining unidentified victims, continuing the effort to uncover all of Gacy's crimes.